Welcome back to Sportsbook Review Videos. We got our asses handed to us on Monday night. Big part of that was the Rockets choosing to foul late in the game against the Golden State Warriors, pushing that total above the 218 mark that we had earlier in the day. But we're still an even 3-3 on our NBA game picks here so far to start the playoffs. I am ready to bounce back from that and go above 500 once again here tonight. And I have my two best bets for the two-game slate here on a Tuesday evening. We will start it off in Atlanta, where the Boston Celtics trying to even the series at 1-1 after playing close to the Hawks in game number one. They are a 6.5-point dog in this one, total of 205.5. Of course, the big injury news to talk about over the last 48 hours or so. Avery Bradley looks like he could miss the rest of the series, let alone tonight. And that's going to put a big hole in the Celtics roster. He's easily their best perimeter defender, but Evan Turner and Marcus Smart, I think, will fill in nicely. And even though they are not the offensive threat that Bradley is, they are easily still good defenders, so both of them. And I think between the two of them, they will fill in nicely for Bradley, at least on the defensive end. And both of them can get their shot, I think, against Kyle Korver. Just it's not going to be a three-point shot. It's likely going to be them driving to the basket and either kicking or taking it to the hole. So with that being said, I don't think the Boston Celtics defense is going to be hurt any by the Avery Bradley news. But one of the things that I like about the odds here for that you're getting with the Celtics and the total on this one is they're very good putting them in a teaser. And that's exactly what I'm doing here with this one. I am teasing the Boston Celtics up to 10.5. Underdogs, teasing the total up to 209.5 and going with the Celtics plus 10.5 and under 209.5 in this one. I don't think the injury to Avery Bradley is going to hurt them that much. I don't think either one of these teams are good enough to beat the other one by double digits. So that's why I like that one. I think the under could be a pretty good game. I think these games are just going to continue to get lower scoring. Speaking of low scoring, the Grizzlies and the San Antonio Spurs hook up tonight, and the Spurs are an 18.5-point favorite, total of 187. These are some interesting NBA odds, and after the Spurs really kind of hung around, or the Grizzlies, I guess I should say, hung around with the Spurs in the first half of game number one, San Antonio really dominated in the second half. I think that could be what happens again here in this one, but I think a little bit more banking on a little bit lower scoring. Once again here in the first half, in game number two is the way to go with a first half total of 93.5 points. Right now, you're looking at a Memphis Grizzlies team that if it wasn't for Vince Carter, maybe only would have had about 30 points in the first half of that game. And I think if the Spurs continue to shut down the Memphis Grizzlies like they did in the first half and second half for that matter, I think you're going to see a very, very low scoring game. I think you could easily actually see both teams below 40 points in this one, maybe even just both teams around the low 40s in this one. Still, just enough to cash the under here in this one in the first half. At 93.5, I still think that line is just a bit too high. These teams have had some lower scoring games against one another. If you take away their two games in March against one another, late in the season, obviously, when things were pretty much handled and taken care of for both teams at that point in the season almost, I think you're looking at a lot of games here the last couple of years that have been very low scoring. Lots of times teams have been below 40 points against one another here. Defense is still going to be there for Memphis, even though it's not as good with Marc Gasol and Mike Conley. I still think that the under here at 93.5 in the first half is the way to go. Now, best of luck to you on both of those. Make sure you check out my player prop picks coming out later in the afternoon. But until then, for Sportsbook Review, I am Jordan Sharp.